Hello, friends. You are now listening to the Awe Inspiration Podcast with your host, Jagriti Loitel. Here, we examine high achievers' perspectives through a holistic lens, since we want to learn not what to think, but how to think. With a focus on space exploration, well-being, technology, and philosophy, I hope that these conversations will lead us on a journey to awe inspiration. So, come with me. All right. Welcome to the first episode of the Awe Inspiration Podcast. I'm so excited that this day is finally here. I'm referring to my notes here actually, because I actually wrote down what I was going to speak about today. Usually I'm pretty good at impromptu, but I don't know, I just felt like I need to embrace imperfection a little bit more. That's something I'm actively working on. But this podcast, I'm just going to start recording as soon as I can, and then do it badly for a while. And then hopefully at some point I will get to the tipping point where it's actually much more enjoyable to listen to or even look at, whatever you prefer. So welcome. So like I mentioned in my first YouTube channel, video, I made a video about why I'm starting a YouTube channel in 2020. And that was a really good video because it was not just for the people that were going to watch it. It was actually for myself, because, you know, it's very important to remember the whys throughout a process. And in that video, I also mentioned that I might start my own podcast in the future. So here I am. It is currently 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. And I just came back from my work, and I'm very excited because, talking, learning about people, expressing ideas really energizes me, so I'm very much looking forward to this. So I thought for this episode I would do something similar, and I wanted to give all of you, but especially me, all the reasons why I want to start a podcast. And I really want this to be the first episode, because, you know, I think, like I mentioned, I need really strong whys for everything I do in my life. And if I don't have that, it's actually really hard for me to have like sustained levels of motivation. So, I think this will be like especially useful, to keep like the activity of podcasting enjoyable as I go through it, bring more guests at the same time. And just like the philosopher Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how, right? So no matter how difficult something seems or feels, if you have a very strong and clear sense of why, that will get you through most things. And I found that, or this philosophy to be true in my own life. So hopefully, it holds true in this podcast as well. So let's just get right into the reasons. Okay, so the first reason I wanted to do this podcast is because I literally cannot contain my curiosity anymore. Like at this point, it doesn't even feel like a want. It feels like a need that I have to create like streams of expressions, because I've been feeling like I have so many questions, so many thoughts. And in my blog as well as my YouTube channel, I've mentioned this. But I think podcast is a bit more, deeper, more vulnerable. You get to share like things with an audience on a more intimate level. And so I found that very attractive. I also did a personality test a while back, and in the results that came out, the number one trait I actually have is curiosity. And I actually believe that to be really true. And so, like I said, this doesn't feel like a choice anymore. It feels like something I really should do. I have to do, which is a pretty good reason to do something. And, I just want to interview interesting people. Hopefully people will enjoy them, but even if they don't, I know I will, and maybe that's enough for now. And then I'm going to ask them all my burning questions. Like, that's a dream scenario for me. Like, meeting interesting people and asking them interesting questions is something I really, really enjoy. So my first reason is definitely curiosity. Now, let's move on to the second reason. And by the way, like, this is going to be a single shot video. I'm not going to edit it. If there's imperfections, so be it. I am imperfect. But yeah, I'm not going to do any editing on this at all. So we'll just see how it goes. So my second reason is basically, I really want to make this podcast something I wish existed in this world, right? Like, if a concept like this existed, I know I would watch it. And I know some people that are like me. So maybe there are other people in the world that feel a certain need. And, I reflecting back on how I got the idea was, I listen to podcasts quite often, really interesting people. I love hearing, meaningful, deep conversations. And in some of them, I found things that I really enjoyed, but some of the podcasts were very much like, they would bring on a guest, and the whole episode was basically just a rundown of the guest's resume. So, okay, you were a child, and then what did you do? And then what did you do? Right? So it was very what did you do to get here, basically? And that's pretty useful, right? You get to learn about more opportunities, what even exists in this world in the first place. But an itch I kept having was I don't know if I can, replicate that in my own life, right? What I'm really looking for is, how did these people think? How did they make their choices at every crossroad? And what type of mindsets guided them throughout that process. And mindset is something I believe that can be learned. So, I really want to capture those moments from somebody, and I'm sure there are other podcasts that do the same. I just want to do that with the guests I want. So I think a podcast will be really useful in that case. And in my trailer as well, I think there's a pretty good summary, but what I basically want to do is get a holistic view of high achievement, right? Sometimes it seems like high achieving, career-oriented people, they just, climb all those heights. But there was a study done by Harvard on happiness. I think it's the longest study ever done. I think it was 70 years, where people were analyzed on what actually matters at the end of life. And I think there's also a TED Talk on it. And the basic conclusion from that was, you have people that you love and people that love you, right? So if you have those two things, you probably had a pretty good life, pretty fulfilling life. And so, I keep thinking about how a high achieving career requires a lot of sacrifices. So what I really want to learn from these people is get a sense of view of the other aspects of their lives. What did they have to give up to gain that level of success? And success or perspective, or, how do they view sacrifice in the first place? And I think the themes will be much more emotional concepts, how they felt, the mental battles, the regrets, the looking back, the introspection, because that's something I really enjoy. And I want to hear it specifically from people that I want to be more like, and how they navigate this world. And obviously, we'll also talk about their big career things somewhere in there, but the focus is really on the background picture, like what did it take to be in that position? Because, you know, like everything in life, it's probably a transaction, a give and take process. So I really want to capture that. And yeah, so I basically just want to get concepts and ideas that can be replicated in our own ways, in our own lives, and that we can learn about. And, you know, maybe use that to enrich our own lives, get perspectives and be inspired. And, you know, finally, I would say documentation has become a really important value in my life. I really been feeling like life is impermanent. It's short. So like I just need to make the most of every moment. And all of these channels I've been creating over the past year and a half, my blog, my YouTube channel, all my activities with the media, I think deep down at the core, it's really been about how do I defeat immortality, I guess. My silly attempts at that, but, you know, I think I'm probably going to keep attempting that. And, you know, I just wanted, like this podcast, the way I view it is I wanted to create a beautiful digital house where I can invite guests in, and throughout my life, wherever I go, right? Like I've been in some interesting places. Like right now I'm at the Canadian Space Agency, you know, just talking to people at every stage in my life and capturing that experience in conversation, in deep conversation, I think is quite a beautiful thing and something that I would like to do. And, you know, it basically aligns with the way I want to live my life, where I haven't found any part of doing podcasting so far that I didn't like, which has been quite interesting because most things we do, there's some aspects that we don't enjoy, but we do it anyway to attain the final goal. But so far in podcasting, like me learning all the software, making the trailer, the poster, I've enjoyed every second of it. Like, so it's been pretty good so far. Hopefully I can keep up with my enthusiasms as we continue. And, you know, I'm sure I'll have more reasons in the future and, you know, also challenges. I'm sure it's not going to be easy with tight schedules, but, you know, why would I not make time for things that fulfill me, that I enjoy? That's just stupid, I think. Like, I need to prioritize that, things that fulfill me. So I hope I will be able to do that. And I think those were all my reasons for now. I think I should keep it pretty short for today. I don't know if it's short or not, but, you know, I felt like this was an important episode to do. And before I leave, I just wanted to talk about the title a little bit. So it's Awe Inspiration with Jagriti Luitel. And the reason I named it that was my favorite human emotion is awe, right? So awe is a feeling that you feel when you see something so beautiful, so transformative that it's just like, you just have no words. So awesome has awe in it, right? So anything that just encapsulates us in its feels and we feel like totally consumed by it. Like I just crave like feelings like that. And so I really love awe. And, you know, awe with Jagriti Luitel, I felt like a bit, I don't know. And, you know, awe inspiration is a pretty commonly used English verse or phrase, I guess. So, and, you know, like the moments I mentioned before, like I want to capture those like nuggets of insights. And I think like that translates into being awe for now. And I really like it so far. I love the concept so far, and maybe it will change one day. But for now, I think I'm going to keep it at that. And, you know, really just like get started, because I know no one's probably listening to this, which gives me some relief to think about. But, you know, eventually hopefully things will start taking off a little bit. And even if they don't, I just enjoy the process so much that it probably won't matter. But it would be nice if other people could capture value from this as well. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I embark on this journey. So to conclude, I think I should stop overthinking things and just go for things. And right now I'm naive. I don't understand the challenges that will probably be there. But being naive also has its benefits. So I'm just going to reap those benefits for now. But thank you so much. I hope you'll join me again in the future. It probably won't be much of me talking by myself, but I might have some of those episodes in there as well. We'll see how it goes. But I have a list of very exciting guests, and I hope you will love them, just like I probably will. So I hope to see you again. And thank you again for coming and listening today. Goodbye.